Welcome to Episode 8, Nostalgia Neat, Part 2, the 90s Revolution.
Yeah. So, welcome to everybody. I'm Thee.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm JoJo.
What are we talking about today, Ryan?
So, we are going to continue our last episode 7, with moving on to the 90s.
All right. So last episode, we talked a lot about the 80s.
Yes, we did.
How we were children of the 80s and our experiences.
And then college and the 90s.
Well,
I think that tied up most of my 90s.
For those of us that are as old as Ryan, it was college.
Yes, it was high school for us.
Some of us finished high school. Yep. Sorry, Ryan. Somebody's got to be older. So what's everybody been up to since the last time before we get too involved in our 90s? What's been going on?
Well, we're going to skip the 90s and just talk about what we've done for the last couple weeks. It's been a while.
We probably could.
So for me, Eve and I went to Punta Cana and spent a week relaxing in the sun at the pool. And we had a good time. I will give a shout out to Tony and Christina, fellow Michiganders that we met at the Secrets Resort in Punta Cana, Royal Beach. And we had a pretty good time there. A lot of drinking, a lot of soaking in the sun, no excursions, just strictly chilling at the resort. That was good.
So I think you mentioned before, these vacations are good for you to let go of the real world. Were you able to hit that point, or did you take anything with you? Or
no, I didn't check any email.
Good job, you.
I blew off the work world for a week.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I got home, the next couple days, I was home for 24 hours. Had to go to Columbus, picked Eli up, moved him back home. Home for a day, and then it was Tulsa for 3 days and Temecula, California for 5 days.
Awesome.
So I won't go into any details, but Temecula is a very cool city. Hung out at a cigar bar in Old Town, met a bunch of guys that, just sitting there smoking cigars. Unfortunately, there was no bourbon in the cigar bar, so that was kind of bad.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But what about you, Thee?
Well, the last time we got together, it for a second it sounded like I was going to be the one with the actual trip going on, but it has been a while since we've recorded. But I did go on a work trip. I did. Dun 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 dun. I knew that.
I'm off. It's been a while. I got to get back in sync.
I know. Well, bear with us, folks. So, second week in April, I got to go to D.C. and get together with a few hundred of my closest coworkers, where we really enjoyed a good team connection. It's really good to come together and really learn about what we're all doing together for the greater organization. And then, bonus to my work trip, I got to stay in town a little bit longer and drive over to Virginia, where I got to hang out with my brother, his wife,
and his Corvette.
And his Corvette, yep, and his son and niece. So shout out to my nephew Michael and my niece Katie. I have to tell you, I think Michael is one of our biggest fans. I mean, no joke. We're sitting there, we're around the campfire, and all of a sudden he says, "Your latest episode dropped," and he's got Alexa play in the episode, and I'm like, dude, I'm right here in person. Let's talk.
Dude, that is fantastic.
It is.
So I forgot to tell you, though, speaking of fans, so when I was picking Eli
We're
up...
not here to talk about OnlyFans.
No, not my OnlyFans page.
There you
Hold
go.
on.
No plugging that stuff here, Ryan.
I know. This is an adult, family-friendly show, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to the Columbus Crew game, which the game itself ended in a draw, so it was 0-0. But I did go, after a few cocktails, back to the bar and went to get a piece of pizza, and I had on our podcast show T-shirts. And the lady at the front that waited on me this is crazy. So she looked at the shirt and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm a big whiskey fan and I love your podcast." And I said, we've only had 600 people listen to our podcast, so whatever. And she goes, well, she asked me if I, listened to the show. And I said, well, I'm on the show. And she goes, "Are you Ryan?" or Rye Guy. I forget what she said. I was a little drunk, but that caught me by surprise
Wow.
because I'm like, holy crap. Like, you're one of 600 people in the world that's listened to this
That's
That
so
is
cool.
and knew who we were.
That is cool.
So that was kind of cool.
That's cool. All right, so Ryan's meeting our first stranger
Listener.
relationship listener.
Yeah.
Like,
So that was kind of cool. I didn't
That's
get her
fantastic.
name. I was kind of taken back. Like, I wanted, after I left, it's like, shit, I should have got her name, done a shout out.
right. Well,
And-
shout out to
and
the
go.
bartender. Ryan screwed up, didn't get her name.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening.
Drop him a message on Instagram and or send it to me, and I'll be happy to shout you out and correct his butt.
So what have you been up to since your surgery?
Since my surgery, I have, so my first trip out after surgery was I went to Jersey. I told my boss I'd go to Jersey, but I'm going to need somebody to help me. And so I had a colleague come with me, and he shadowed me during the audit. But oh my gosh, he was so helpful. He carried all my luggage. I really couldn't have done that
you
trip
were on
without
the
him.
mend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still in my sling, wearing it full time. So he helped me a ton. Then I left Jersey, came home for that weekend, and then turned around and went to Louisville.
Louisville.
I love,
Marbles.
I love me some Louisville. But I worked, but I always eat amazing down there. And I went to a restaurant, Mesh, and I love Mesh. And they had this drink called Old Timer, and holy moly, it was fantastic.
So what's in an old timer?
It is, it's bourbon, some like vanilla extract, blackberry bitters, and like orange zest. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and my buddy's there. He took me to dinner at Italian place Grassa Grama, and that was a really, really good restaurant. It looks like it was decorated by a drag queen, but it's amazing. It's amazing, but it's just really, really cool.
Would that be the glitters?
No. And then, so then I just got back, just flew in from Miami. So I was there, and I went to this restaurant called De Vito. I had some like seafood stuff, pasta seafood stuff, but I had the best smoked old fashioned in my life.
Have you had Butcher's Union yet?
Yeah.
They're
And-
old
and It's
fashioned.
better than the old fashioned? They're old fashioned?
Yeah.
Tyler, you got to prove Joe wrong.
Challenge.
Yes, Tyler, prove me wrong. But, I got to conduct an audit in Miami, and I drove up, and there was the FDA, their car was there, and I was like, haha. So they were there doing their annual visit, and the ops management was all done. He said, it was like deja vu, Joe. He's like, everything you found, they found, but you found more stuff. He's like, you're a good little auditor. I'm like, thanks, buddy. So it was fun, but yeah, it was a
Makes
good
you
trip.
feel good about yourself. I
It
mean,
does. It
knowing
does.
that you're doing a good job.
Mhm. It does.
Recognition is huge.
It is.
And it's not done enough.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
think.
It-
And
it
I'm
goes-
guilty of that too.
I'll tell you, as an employee, a good solid thank you
Goes a long way.
goes a huge way. Yeah. Hey, quick shout out. So our Grand Rapids Rye season that we've talked about for a
Oh,
while. The regular season is coming to a close here in a little bit. Joe and I just attended what will be my last game last week, Saturday. And then the last home game is this Sunday, which is also Mother's Day. So gave up my ticket so I could be with my family for Mother's Day. And I'm so excited that Joe gets to take her mom and Ryan's taking his family. So
Yep.
what else is going on with the Rise, Ryan?
And they clinched their first ever playoff spot.
Boop, boop.
Third. I think they were third in the league. And then San Diego clinched the fourth spot. Atlanta and Omaha are the other two.
All right.
And like you said, we have our last game on Sunday. I'm kind of hoping that our friend Mac gets to play a little bit and some of the other players since they've clinched it. I do know that things are changing next year. I found out that whole league is a free agency this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Holy moly.
So they're doing some stuff. And then I don't remember, I think since the last time we had our OSU alumni spring dinner, and Mac spoke at that, Mac Pedraza. So we got to hang out with her for dinner, and Eve met her and everything. So shout out to her again for the 100th time. Hopefully she comes back, and there are a lot of players on the rise. I hope
Claire.
that we get back,
Claire.
especially
Claire.
Oh, man, that kid is a fireball.
Wow.
She is, wow.
Yeah, I hope, Ryan, you decide to put those pictures of you and Mac up on our website, because I would just love to show everyone how tall and amazing this woman looks like.
Or is it how short I am?
I was
I
going to
was-
say how
I-
short Ryan looks. Yeah.
I was trying to give you some credit, Ryan.
I have, so our phone, we got our new, my Samsung update came in. So now I think it's like iPhone, where it does like a motion still.
Yeah.
So like gets into it. And then there's one picture where Eve and I are on either side of Mac. And then Mac, I was like, you're too damn tall. And all of a sudden she like snakes down to be our height. And it was pretty funny just how it played out on the.
Yeah, you send
on
that
the
to me, and I'm
thing.
like, God, Ryan, you're mean mugging. And he says, well, I got a new live photo thing, so the rest of the photo, I smile. I'll show you.
Yeah, it cut me in some bad spots, but
I
yeah.
can't. We got Android and Apple got to start talking together, because, we're missing out on you.
It's a lot of challenges, though, even with our podcast, trying to get, some of Joe's Apple stuff tied up with our Google Drive, and
Yeah.
Athena's got some like
Spring action.
spring action going on
Yeah,
on
you
her mic
do.
stand over there.
I don't know what happened.
You hit it. You
But-
hit your arm.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oops. There it is.
Oops.
Thumbs up.
I did it
Okay,
again.
So is it trying to drink something?
I think it might be time. So
I'm ready.
since we're
That's right.
talking 90s, you want me to fill us in here on where we're going?
Yes,
What do we got,
please.
Ryan? What do we got?
So
Yeah, because I don't even know.
the 90s saw the release of several bourbons that are now highly regarded in the whiskey community. A few of them, I think we talked about on the last episode, that Blanton's single barrel came out in 1984.
That's right.
Popularity, though, didn't gain until the 90s on that one. Knob Creek launched in 1992 as part of the Jim Beam small batch bourbon collection. We have Elijah Craig 18-year-old single barrel, which I have downstairs, but we decided to do something different on that one. And then Wild Turkey Rare Breed was another 90s.
Yeah, I want to try that one.
I have 2 bottles of that downstairs, but
We could only pick one.
we could only pick one.
Yeah.
And what did we pick, Thee?
Well, Ryan, we picked the Booker's selection. So Booker's is a part of the Jim Beam small batch collection, which, I found interesting as we were doing research for this website, that small batches first came out in the 80s. So it felt appropriate to select this one. Booker's was introduced in 1988. So similar to what we found with the Blantons, it came out in the 80s, but it really saw all of its popularity start rising in the 1990s. It's got something, it's known for uncut and unfiltered bottling. What is that, Ryan?
So, in the context of whiskey or bourbon, it refers to a bottling process where the spirit is not diluted with water and it's not passed through any filtration process before bottled. It's presented to consumers in the pure form right out of the barrel, often resulting in more intense, robust kind of flavor experience, as if, tasted when it left the barrel.
Oh, the
And I see
smell
you're
is,
smelling it. What do
oh
you
my
think?
goodness gracious. I was like, holy moly, is this strong? So
Yeah.
Just so you know, Joe, before you put it in your mouth, you swish it around.
We already got the ice over by
Thank
The
you, buddy.
ice is by Joe, and we are recording this one, so you get to see her face.
oh, that's working? Seriously?
Yeah.
You guys.
Dang, we should have
No,
told
you
her.
shouldn't have.
This is a 75% corn, 13% rye, so it's a high rye
Okay.
mash, 12% barley. What is your guess, Joe, on the proof?
It's by the smell, I would think it's wicked strong.
We're looking at 125.5 proof, 62.25 ABV.
Wow.
Well, this episode's about to get fun.
Yeah, it is. I have to drive home.
And
Maybe.
it's aged 6 years, 5 months. And this is the 2021 release 3 Bardstown batch. Bourbon price $90. And we will not go into the tasting notes, but what do you smell other than hot?
Oof.
I got sweet on the nose. Is it? I'm getting like a caramel.
Yeah.
I'm working on defining the difference in my head between caramel butterscotch and. That smells good.
It smells strong.
It is. It does have a very strong nose.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't even say it smells good. I just can't get over the strength. I better try it.
Oh, it does have a sweet, oaky flavor. Look at the camera, Joe.
Say cheese, buddy.
Now she's not going to do her face.
Yeah, she is.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Ew.
I like this.
This is good.
I need a cube.
Yeah, put a cube in
It's
it.
kind of
Put a
got a pepper that I'm getting the rye.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
And
So the blend, the mash bill makes sense to me. It's warming my entire mouth
Yes.
and definitely hitting that back of the
Did
throat.
you swish it? Because then it would really warm it.
it warmed my throat when I did that.
Yeah, when you swished.
But it's a good burn.
It is a good burn. But whoa. Oh.
That one. So let's see.
Wow.
This one even. So now I drop down the tasting notes, but it even talks about the eye. Burnished copper, thin rims, and very thin legs. What the hell does that mean?
Copper, I'm getting legs.
Yeah.
What is legs like wine? Yeah, we gotta get that cube going. That'll mellow out that proof.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm dropping stuff.
So we got.
Do you want it?
So on the eye. So we're just talking about the eye, right?
Yep.
It's pretty
Thin
dark.
legs.
It is pretty dark. But it's got a good color.
It does. Very caramely. On the nose, they say dust from the in-shell peanut bag.
Take me out to the ball.
Fresh cracked peanuts, too. The dusty peanut note just keeps building. I'm not getting a peanut. Palate, it says straight up roasted in-shell peanuts.
It's too strong for Joel.
Do you think
You don't-
think they put a
Extra cube?
Yep.
Do you think they put some peanuts in the barrels when they went to lock them down?
I doubt it.
You're
It says it also says mixed berry jam and fresh red fruits, but Joe just tastes alcohol.
I do. That's all I taste.
Maybe some water in there for you too.
Joe's got looking at the palate, it's still talking about the in-shell peanuts, right? And Ryan says the mixed berry jam. It says the proof roars in a few seconds later before mellowing to a great balanced burn.
It is a balanced burn. I mean, it is. I mean, I can still feel it in the back of my throat, but it's a nice burn.
It hit my head, like the front of my forehead after about 10 seconds.
I love
Like
this
I got an
description.
instant
Yeah?
like dizziness. That's pretty strong stuff.
It is strong.
Mouthfeel is velvety and hot, tingling the whole tongue with Szechuan level heat.
I'm getting
Yep.
Szechuan heat.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Mm-hmm. That tingling tongue.
Yep.
This is like an experience.
It is an experience.
Joe the experience hashtag.
Not Joe's favorite experience.
Do you get the burning tobacco in a cigar lit on an oak fire? I don't get a cigar,
No.
but I do get that
A little bit of a smoky.
flavor on my tongue that like cigars leave that
Yeah, 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 yeah.
lingers because it is a lingering taste.
True.
The finish, proof dominates for a bit here, although proof, though, no oak. I got oak. Once it fades, the roasted peanuts sneak back. I have
don't
no
get the
freaking
peanuts.
peanuts,
I don't get the peanuts.
nor dark chocolate or blackberry finish.
They got peanuts all over this review.
This
I
review
think this
is,
person must have had a bag of peanuts with them.
or they were at a ball game when they tasted it, or something.
That's funny. I tried this blind, but I knew from the nose it was Booker's. Yeah, I would know now. Holy moly. I'd be like, Ryan.
So Thea and I were reading a review earlier, and it was of the 2021-01 batch. So the first batch of the 2021.
Yeah.
And the guy hated it. He said, if I have to taste this again, I will never drink another Booker's. But he did give this one a good review. He
Okay.
said this one was much better than 01.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I mean, I like it. I don't think I would drink it every day.
Well,
Plus, it's hard to find, so harder to find.
I got to ask you, Ryan, because when I got here, you were opening the bottle. This is a fresh bottle. He just tapped into this bottle for this episode, Joe. But it came in this beautiful Booker's box. Lovely packaging. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think we talked about packaging in a previous episode. I think when we were talking about Blanton's and the famed horses and style of the bottle. So to me, as a novice whiskey drinker, this looks like an expensive bottle because it comes in this beautiful box. So let's let our listeners know. Do you remember the price point roughly?
It was about 100, somewhere around 100.
Okay.
99, I think, in Michigan.
Okay.
But I also have a little book downstairs that I picked up. I think I got that one in Canada because I found it. So we'll have to try that and compare it to this. This one I have 2 bottles of. So, but I remember when I first got into bourbon during COVID, it was at Meijer every day. Like I could see it. Now you can't get it. It's hard to find.
So you said little book. Is that Booker's too?
It's
Little
Booker's too, but they have chapters.
Well,
So
I have one
it's-
of those in Denver. I'm going to bring home when I go to Denver.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have a different chapter than I have.
Yeah.
So we'll have to compare those
Oh, fun.
too.
All right. Well, let's mosey into our subject for today's episode.
Sounds good to me.
Who wants
Yeah.
to take us in?
Joe, you've been quiet. It's your
Yeah.
turn.
We got to wake you up over there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm so awake. So we've explored our 1980s. So now we're gonna transition ourselves into the 90s, and we're gonna focus on, you know, the shift in technology and media and lifestyles. So, you know, when we think about technology, and we kind of talked about the 80s technology, but you know, going into the 90s, you know, we had CDs.
Woo!
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
I remember that Christmas.
Yeah.
That was my stereo CD player and 2 CDs I got.
Did you get one of those like stereo boombox
no.
shelf systems? Like what'd
No,
you
I
get?
got some big ass speakers that were the size of that pie cabinet, which is
Oh.
like
It's your parents' fault.
2.5
you're an audiophile.
feet wide by
Almost
I
as
don't
tall
know,
as Joe.
3
Wow.
feet tall. Yeah, almost as tall as
Yep.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got CDs. First CDs I got Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, Poison, and I also got White Lion.
Wow.
Those were my first 3 CDs.
Interesting. It really gives me a look into where you were.
Were you born when those came out?
Shut your mouth.
What were your first CDs, Joe?
Gosh, I don't even remember. I really don't remember. I remember records, you know, like my records, but I don't remember my CDs. Like I loved George Michael. So I know
I had that too.
George Michael, the Fate Tour, that had to have been one of my very first, because that was my very first concert at 10. So I went to see him.
I was gonna say were we in like 5th grade? Because I remember when that came out. That sounds about right.
I don't know. I was 10. So
Isn't
it
that
was
about
1988.
Isn't that about 5th grade?
Is 1988? Was that? You think so?
You go to kindergarten when you
88, I was in
5-ish.
8th grade. You guys are, what, 3 years below
Okay,
me?
5th grade.
So 5th grade.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, you're right.
I'm still doing math, even
don't
after
know-
3 bourbons tonight.
I do not know why I don't listen to the women in my life when they tell me something.
Facts.
I know.
So-
Thanks, buddy.
What about you?
I
Dee?
gotta confess to you guys. My very first CD was the Lion King soundtrack.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yep. I had a very innocent childhood. We'll leave it at that.
Yes, you did.
Yep. But I'll tell you, you know, it's funny. A couple weeks ago, I was working in my basement, and I was kind of rifling through some of those CDs. I told you guys I found some of my old CDs, and I also have been building up my collection again. Well, here I was rifling through my old collection, and I find a CD. It was a blank like Maxwell or whatever CD, and it says Joe's Anthology on it, written in Sharpie, and I just lost it because I was like, oh my gosh, I remember Joe used to work on these, and we talked about this in our last episode, like making mixed cassette tapes. It's the same thing with making CDs.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I plugged this thing in expecting it to be this like electronica music, and it was. It definitely had that
was my-
electronic.
that was
That
my
was your
jam.
jam.
You got to bring it. I want to listen to
Oh
it.
yeah, but there was also a lot of like music I didn't remember. So Joe, I know you found resources that I just listened to the radio, and Lord knows West Michigan had not the greatest selection. So Joe found this awesome stuff, and I remember her bringing it to me, and I'll bring that in.
That'd be fun.
I had an electronica CD that I was working at Panasonic after college. My senior year, I co-opted in Chicago. And the Japanese guys all brought me over this Japanese electronica CD, which I just found when I was cleaning the basement the other day.
Huh.
I'll have to let you listen to that. It was pretty good. I mean, but it also had like a 35-page novel in the CD cover of a bunch of stuff, which it's all in Japanese. I don't know what it says, but that was kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, anything dance, electric, techno, that was all me.
But then from the CD standpoint, then the DVDs came out. That was
Yep.
about 1995, 96, somewhere around there. We didn't have DVD players though when I was in school or college or growing up at all.
I don't remember when my family first got a DVD player as much as I remember the VHS.
Yes.
What I do remember, and I don't know why this sticks out to me, I remember how clear the DVDs were. Like the
Yeah.
picture, like it was a drastic difference to go from VHS to the clarity that was on DVDs. I remember that.
There's no static lines going through the middle of the TV screen.
TVs also got better.
They did.
They did. I don't remember when they actually got smaller and lighter weight. I remember lugging around heavy TVs that, for years. But what about you, Joe? Anything special about DVDs that you remember?
I just would collect them, and I recorded on the DVDs, so I had tons. I don't know why I did that, but I did. Shut up. But yeah, no.
What did you have a box of DVDs in the back of your vehicle all the time?
Come on, man.
I think we have some DVDs we need to exchange, don't we?
Yes, we do.
There
Okay.
you go.
I have a whole box.
Okay, me too.
No, naughty.
Go ahead and fill in the blanks.
Do you remember, this must have been earlier 90s though, back early CDs, which I didn't have on CD. I never bought these guys.
Yeah, you did.
But Milli Vanilli.
Oh my God. Girl, you know it's true. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I love you.
Oh, do you remember their hair? And they always had a hat.
Yeah.
And then had that long, beautiful.
had
They
the-
were good-looking guys.
They had to
were.
cover their mouths because they weren't singing.
Do you remember how disappointed everybody was when they
Well,
found
I
out that
know.
they were lip syncing?
Yeah.
Oh my
terrible.
gosh,
I still like the
drama.
songs though.
I do too.
That's
They're
right.
good. They're good.
That's right.
And then and we should have like chronologically ordered
this
all
a
this
little bit
stuff,
different, yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember also, our Desert Storm
Yep.
ordeal.
Yeah.
And the neighbors and I, we had a video camera, and we loved the SNL. So and I'll have to show you because I still have the VHS upstairs. We did a little SNL skit on our own in the backyard of was it George Bush Sr.
Oh,
And-
goodness.
In the Desert Storm, there was something around that. I remember we were doing it. We didn't understand politics. We didn't, it was just, let's be stupid and
Yep.
do SNL skits.
Right.
But luckily, though, we didn't eat people like Jeffrey Dahmer
Yeah,
did
I know.
or whatever.
That's good.
Oh my gosh, I just watched. Have you guys seen that documentary movie about? I don't think it was a document. Was it a documentary?
On Netflix?
Yeah, it just came out within the
Dahmer
last couple of
or
years.
something.
Oh my gosh, Dahmer for us when we were growing up in the 90s,
He was scary.
I remember it, and I remember it being like, oh my gosh, this is real? It might have been my first exposure to serial killers. And then watching that video like 30 years later, and I'm like, what was going through this guy's head, and how did these people not
Right?
know?
Right?
It's crazy.
So, in all disclosure, we went out to eat before we got here. I've
thing.
had 2 drinks before we got here.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know, though, I'm trying to remember. So between Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Kaczynski, one of them was at Ohio State one year, and one of them was at U of M one year, I believe, or longer. I think Ted Kaczynski was at U of M.
I think you're right.
So Dahmer was at Ohio State. He was there 1 year.
Going to
left.
school?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then got the fuck out. Thank God. Don't want to be associated with him, but
That could have been
That
when
just-
you were there. That's
no.
pretty close.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. We weren't friends.
You're not
We were
that
not
old.
friends. I
not
don't
that
know
old.
what that. But the other thing I remember, which had to have been like 93, because I remember it was around my graduation year, was the L.A.
Oh,
with
the
Rodney,
riots.
Rodney King and
yeah.
him getting beat up in the street with
Yeah.
the baton.
It's
Yeah.
funny how things circle back around, right? If you think about the riots and the police brutality, how it's made its full circle,
Yeah.
and it's happening again right now. So it's
Well-
kind of interesting.
Rodney King's the perfect epitome of white privilege. Those officers were
Yeah.
exonerated.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that alone, outside of the riots themselves, it's just incredible to look back on that in history, and with that kind of evidence and that kind of witnesses that were present, like, how does that happen? So anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. So the other thing I remember from 93, because that was my graduation year, was the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas.
That's right.
And for those of you younger crew listening to us, hopefully we have some younger listeners.
Cliff's Notes.
The April 19th, 93 was the U.S. federal government conducted a siege on a compound that was occupied by David Koresh and his religious cult. And it was a 51-day standoff.
Yep.
And dozens...
On the news every night at 6.
Yeah, dozens of his followers were killed. The FBI went in, U.S. law enforcement, and botched that one up. I mean, it was a bad situation,
Yep.
but the government fucked that one up worse than it even needed to be. A lot of people got killed.
Yeah.
And you can watch documentaries on Netflix and stuff. It's something worth watching, because I watched the Netflix version, and it reminded me of a lot of things that I forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fiasco and a
Oh,
half.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and think about that. Think about one of the differences between today and then. We could only get updates, 4 times a day, because there was news in the morning before work or before your day started. There
At
was
lunch.
a noon broadcast. There was a 6 p.m.
And,
dinner time.
Like 11.
Yeah, and like a 10 or 11. And that's it. We got
That's
updates
it.
4 times a day for
But
most of us.
I do remember, though, during the Kuwait War, we talked about that. That was like kind of when I first found out about CNN. We didn't have cable.
There you go. Yep, we
But
didn't
at
either.
school, when that all went down, I remember watching the first part of the attack and missiles flying at night on, I think, Ted Koppel. It was
Yes,
at
yes.
CBS or whatever he was on.
Yeah.
Yep. Couple.
And then the next day at school, they had one of those portable TVs on a stand that they put in the cafeteria, and we watched CNN like at lunch after school. The thing played all day long on the war going down.
New technology, baby.
Yep.
Or new,
That was just
new
Trying to
technology.
bring it.
changers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But
Culture
then,
change.
but then once I got to college, that was kind of like when I had my first PC.
Okay.
And I get in the dorm, and now I'm an engineering student in 93, 94. And all of a sudden, like, my world was blown away, because I didn't realize there was internet, because I never had internet. With a computer, I just did my Word or WordPress or whatever the hell the application was, and then printed it. and
Right.
that was it. But
that
then I
dot
get to
matrix.
college, yeah, on a dot matrix printer. And then I get to college, and all these guys are like, do you know you can download dirty pictures from this bulletin board service?
Of course they did.
I'm like, I don't even know what the hell a bulletin board is, but you type in this IP address, you blah, blah, blah. And 2 hours later, you had a pixelated picture of a lady's boobs. I'm like, that was not worth
dot
2
matrix.
hours. You can go to the store and buy a book that has
Right,
cleaner
right.
pictures.
Oh my gosh, though. AOL.
Yes.
Do you remember logging on? Right. I remember late 90s. You could literally, like AOL, crazy. You could tell your computer to start logging onto the internet, and that's when that noise would start, right? And you could walk away and probably start a pot of boiling water to make your macaroni and cheese for your
Yes.
dinner, and come back, and it's still like trying
Yeah.
to get
Trying to start it
Trying
up.
to
connected.
connect.
And now we're like, if the bloody thing doesn't load up in exactly 0.7 seconds, I'm gonna put my foot in that screen. You know, it's crazy
It
what
is
how the
nuts.
world has changed. That's nuts.
I will say, though, speaking of internet and dirty pictures, I think it's time for the
It's time
reach
for the
around.
reach around.
Reach around time.
Yes,
What do we got to? What, oh wait,
Yes,
This is yours.
yours. You tell us all about it,
This
sister.
is mine. So I get to do all the work to reach and tell you guys about
That's
it.
right.
So for the reach around today, guys, I brought you something from my trip that I told you guys about when I got to spend time with my brother. So my brother is not only amazing, but he's just an awesome host. Whenever I go visit him, I swear we're doing different things, checking out different parts of Charlottesville, Virginia. And one of those parts that he brought me to was a distillery called Ragged Branch. It is located just outside of Charlottesville. It's on this beautiful, almost like cliff-like farm. And one of the cool things about this farm is they grow their own product right there. They also produce their own meat for other markets. Yeah. And then the mash, the leftover mash from their bourbon, they use actually to feed their cows.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's a cycle over there.
Drunk bourbon cows.
Yeah.
Young bourbon cows.
For real. I don't really know what that is, but it's probably what they're doing.
I think that's real.
Rusty, I keep trying to get Athena to take me with her down to see you.
For real. I'll bring her. So got some beautiful pictures. I think you guys seen them. We got to sit out there and enjoy this. This was my favorite. This
Okay.
is for you guys. I brought the wheated bourbon.
I was going to say I can smell. I think it has to be weeded.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the bottled in bond. It is mirroring their signature mash bill. 68% corn in this one.
Okay.
16% wheat. 16% barley.
And I smelled a scotchy
Yes.
malted barley flavor or scent.
Yeah.
That was what my nose was saying.
So this one has been aged in char barrels for a minimum of 5 years, and it is bottled at 100 proof.
That has a very straw flavored. That's what I'm getting. Like chewing on straw at
The wheat's coming through, huh?
the wheat. So I'm looking at our notes, and the picture I posted in here was of double gold, and best of category, different whiskey competitions.
Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Don't do it.
And I was actually listening to a podcast the other day where they were talking about this.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
And they said pretty much everybody that enters into those competitions, you're automatically getting a gold.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So I don't go by this. So I guess double gold's better than just a
Are they living in the land of the millennials where everybody gets a
participation
a trophy?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So is there like platinum, which is really the true...
They do
everybody
have-
gets a gold if they show up?
They have gold, double gold,
Oh.
different levels.
Right.
But as I heard that, and I'm assuming it's true because I read more on it, but it's like, what's the point? I mean, if everybody gets a participation trophy, then they can put it on their page, they're gold. But this is not bad. I
No,
mean,
it's not bad.
It does have a straw taste
Yeah.
to it.
I do
So-
like it better with a nice cube. At that 100 proof, I'd like to drop it down just a little bit with either a drop of water
Drop
or
it like it's hot.
a little
Drop it
cube.
like it's hot.
So,
Hot.
it's a wheated bourbon, so it is going to have that.
And we love wheated bourbons.
We do.
And whiskeys.
It is going to have a little bit of a straw kick to it, But yeah, some of the other notes, this reminds us of a sugar cookie left in the oven about 2 minutes too long.
Is it a dry sugar cookie?
Or is it a moist?
Oh God.
Like a muffin.
So
Like a
prepping before our podcast, we always try to do something to liven us up a little bit. And we were watching the Betty White SNL skit with the muffins.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I highly recommend you get online if you haven't seen it. Go to YouTube, Google Betty White SNL muffin skit,
It
and
is hilarious.
you will be laughing your ass off for 3 to 4 minutes.
Exactly. It was so funny.
It was funny. Hold on, my pager's going off.
Oh, wow. Pager.
Yeah, tell us about your pager.
Wait a second. Joe, did you have a
Back
pager?
to the 90s.
Yes, it was root beer in color.
You had a root beer one. Okay.
I did.
Your pager had a skin on it, or it was just that
It
color?
was brown. It was a root beer.
Mine was green.
I had a root beer.
Mine was black.
Of course, it was Nerd Bomber.
So you guys, we had to bring up pagers, right? So
Yes.
I will tell you, I still live in the world of pagers. I do not have a pager.
And
but
you're not a drug dealer.
Nope, I am not. I am also not a doctor. I do not work in the medical. So here's my world of pagers in this current day. My insulin pump, which you guys know that I wear on my belt, often confuses people. And you should see when I have to look at my insulin pump and then I look up and they've got this puzzled look on their face and I'm like,
Drug deal going down.
they're like, do you have a pager? So what if I did? It was an amazing technology in the 90s, wasn't it?
It was. It was.
I mean,
It got me married.
but
Oh gosh, I need to
Did
know
it?
more about that.
yeah, tell us.
I was going to save the story for the anniversary, because here's our 25th anniversary, but I'll give you a precursor
Please do.
to that.
I cannot even wait, Jesus.
So I was living in Chicago. I was living in Chicago and working at Panasonic, which I've talked about
Yes.
previously.
Yes.
And part of that, I was on call for field service work. So as machines went down, whatever, I'd get paged and get called out. So this is after I met Eve. I won't go into that whole story till later. But we were off for Columbus Day. I went down to Indianapolis where she was living. I was in Chicago and surprised her. I showed up, had the apartment cleaned, and made her dinner. And she was surprised when she came home. She was teaching and coaching. And during dinner, I sent a message to my pager from the computer that I was like, shit. And she's like, where are you going now? I was like, I don't know. Take a look. And she looked at it and it said, will you marry me, on my pager.
Oh,
That was my corny story and very 90s.
That's sweet though.
But
That
she said
is
it wasn't the
adorable.
pager that did it. It was the fact that I rolled out pastry with the edge of a cutting board. That was the only roll that
Yeah,
she didn't have a.
she realized you cooked and you've been doing it ever since. So I'm pretty sure she
Anyways.
did pretty good. So
Yeah.
but
She
hey,
did great. What are you talking about?
I love that you had one of the technologically advanced pagers because I never did. I only had the numeric ones. So I had to be a part of the group of people who figured out how to adapt to that. And you could use like phone numbers flipped in different directions to basically send a word text to somebody. And I could not for the life of me think of any of those codes. So I did a little bit of research.
143.
143 is I love
love
you
you.
because the 1 is one letter in I. 4 stood for
Love.
4 letters in love. Yep.
You.
Yep.
3.
Yep. So I actually looked this one up today and I thought it was pretty fun. The LA Times reported in 1997 that teens were using the code 90*401773 as shorthand for go home, which I'll tell you,
Shorthand.
I will tell you, my parents used to use my pager to tell me to go home or call home or why is it 2:00 in the morning? I haven't heard from you. Are you alive? So I wish my parents would have known that.
Yeah.
So let me.
I've never heard of that.
So this is what I'm struggling to remember though from the whole pager piece. How did you send a freaking message to those things?
So people. So if I wanted to send Joe a page, I would go to a phone, right? Like we had wall phones or cordless phones or pay phones, and I'd have to dial Joelle's number, which is associated with her pager. And then either an operator would answer or you would just be prompted by an auto operator. And then you would enter your phone number because the idea was like if I wanted Joe to call me back, it would send her my phone number. So the idea was to get Joe to get to a phone to call me back. Mm-hmm. I mean, I literally remember that was how I communicated with my parents. We used to have to find payphones. And for those of you that don't remember what payphones are, that's what happened
prayed
before
to God
cell
you
phones.
had 25 cents in your pocket, or I would like to make a collect call.
I remember laughing at the fact that payphones were still up on a corner while everybody was using cell phones.
Right.
You know, we were definitely transitioning into the mobile phone world. And then I swear to God, I woke up one day and the payphones were just all gone.
Yeah.
Poof. I don't even remember seeing them come in. It was like aliens came in and went whack, and they were gone.
So this is how bad I was growing up. So I remember basketball practice in middle school. We had a payphone in the middle school. So I would call collect to my parents to tell them practice was over. And my mom and dad would decline the charges. And they knew that, hey, it's time to come pick me up. Because I never had coins on me at that time.
I remember very vividly, I was with my mother, and she was a nurse in surgery on call. And I don't know where the hell we were going. We were going somewhere. And we were in a Corvette. And so we were driving, and our pager went off, and we were like maybe 4 minutes from home. So we pulled into this gas station, and she picks up the phone, and I could see her talking, and all of a sudden the phone, the handle just went flying, and she started running back to the car, and she's like, buckle up. And I was like, what's going on? She's like, I gotta go, baby in distress, we're on our way. And I mean the rumble from this engine, and we went flying. I swear to God, it should have taken us like 15 minutes to get to the hospital. It probably took us 7. She's like, if I get pulled over, I just tell them what I'm doing, and then they follow me, and then they can ticket me when I get to the hospital. But that was, that pager and the payphone, and just that story is very vivid. And I was young, so yeah, it was interesting how that technology worked.
Payphones were really reliable.
They were,
and that's
They
one
worked.
thing. Yeah, they did. They didn't rely on the same services as cellular, right?
Yep.
That's why they're still in use today in hospitals. I don't know if you guys knew that. But
No.
But one thing that, like, kind of speaking of privilege a little bit, I was kind of like, everybody had a pager, right? So I looked up the numbers. So in 1980, there were 3.2 million, with an M, pagers in the world. In 1994, it had grown to 61 million. But in terms of context, let me tell you, how many people do you think don't look at the notes.
I'm out.
How many people do you think have a mobile phone in the world today? So we were at 61 million in 1994 with pagers.
Where are we at population-wise? 7 billion? Something like that?
That's up to you to know.
4 billion, I bet, have phones.
I read 15 billion. Now,
Holy
I didn't
moly.
fact check it across multiple sources, but it
I don't
came
think
up
there's
in
that
an
many
article.
people in the world.
It's what they said. It's what I pulled.
Hold
I
on.
didn't have time to fact check, so
Hold on. Alexa, how many people in the world have a cell phone?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, around 5 billion people have a cell phone.
okay.
5 billion people.
Maybe I typed an extra one in there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But hey, that's still, holy moly.
That's a lot. That's like
Yeah.
3/4 of the world.
Yeah. Yep. So, real quick, a couple other key things that happened in the 90s. We're not going to get into a lot of details about them, but there was things like Lorena Bobbitt chopped her husband's penis off.
Yes, she did.
Penis.
Yes, she did.
Bye-bye.
There was a bombing at the Alfred P. Murray Federal Building in
Yep.
Oklahoma City.
Yep.
You remember that? There's a lot of things that happened that I just don't want to forget. We cloned sheep for the first time in 1996.
We did.
You remember her name?
Dolly.
Dolly.
It was.
Dolly.
And the Olympic bombing in Atlanta. We were just in Atlanta this spring for that tech conference and walked through Olympic Square where that happened.
And I was in, I forgot to mention this when we talked about the Oklahoma City bombing. I actually got to visit the memorial for that. If you guys ever get a chance to, you're in that neck of the wood, just tour through that. It's beautiful.
Interesting.
It's very beautiful. They have a small museum, very small. I think you mentioned the Unabomber.
Ted Kaczynski.
You sure did. And just fun fact, the first Harry Potter book came out in 1997. Wow. J.K. Rowling started her amazing career. Yep.
And Tiger Woods won his first of many Masters.
Yep.
Was that when he was super young, too?
Oh,
Wasn't he a teenager when he first won?
Well, he was 21,
His
22.
Young 20s. Yeah.
Early 20s.
Princess Diana, she died. Mm-hmm. That was so sad.
But guess what, old people? Viagra came
Yes,
out
it
in
did.
1998.
The little blue pill. Clinton got impeached.
Forgetting the DJ.
What was that, 1998?
Eight. I think it was 8 because I was in Chicago. That was about the time Eve and I met. I remember watching that trial in my apartment in Chicago.
It's
like, dude, brag about a BJ. Why do you have to lie about that shit?
Yeah.
because the wholesome community, even in the Democrats back then when Clinton was in office, it was the 90s, guys. Like, people didn't just brag about that out loud. People weren't out of the closet. People weren't.
That's true.
There was a lot of different culture norms at that time. I'm like, yeah, you screwed up, but now your wife is going to stand by you. If you did that today, they do it all the time, politicians today. Mm-hmm. Shoot, how many times did Trump get impeached? 3? So apparently it's a little bit more normal now.
Well, and then the politicians, we were talking on the walk back from the bar, getting
lots of nefarious
anti-gay,
activities.
lesbian, and policy, but in the Minneapolis airport, getting a BJ from another guy.
Getting their own thing. So lots of things going on. Are we getting close?
We still have 8 minutes.
We do. Anything else you guys think of from the 90s that...
What about the school shooting?
Yeah, that might have been one of the first
I was going to say,
school shootings
that's the first one I remember.
Was Columbine.
That's right.
And that one was like 15 kids killed, a couple of teenage shooters went in and did it. And look where we are now, and they're happening.
Almost daily.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Sad.
Where was Columbine?
Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, do you remember grunge music?
Oh my goodness, yes. You know what? I didn't like it back then, but I love it now.
I did.
I was a Green Day fan.
Were you?
Is that grunge?
Yeah. Nirvana.
Green Day, Nirvana.
I like
all that.
Gravity Kills, Alice in Chains.
Silver. What the hell was the name of that band? There were a couple others that I remember.
I love them now. I listen to it all the time.
Oh,
Lithium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good music.
Mm-hmm. We did have good music.
I don't know if everybody would agree, but
yeah, well,
there's a
right.
there's a lot of criticisms on the music in the 90s. You know, I mean, up and down, people argue that it was one of the worst decades, but
that was the first time I listened to country music, though, and that was like Garth Brooks was like. And I still appreciate him.
Keith, he's good.
Toby Keith.
Toby Keith was...
Randy Travis. My dad used to force us to listen to him.
Mm-hmm. I went and seen him at the Richland County Fair in Mansfield, Ohio.
I like him.
Him and Sawyer Brown. I did. Did you go to a lot of concerts?
I did.
In the 90s?
I did.
I think the girl I was dating at the time was big into country music. And she was 2 years older than me, and I swear we were at a concert every other week.
Wow.
Yeah, we saw Eric Clapton.
They were a lot cheaper then.
Yeah, they were a hell of a lot cheaper then.
I somehow managed to go to concerts when I was in college, and Lord knows I didn't have any money. So I remember you just telling us about how Eli needed to be sponsored so he could go to the Drake concert, and then you were talking.
Yeah,
you kind of like $100 was your half of the ticket.
Yeah,
I'm like, Well, I think tickets were like $30-$40 maybe when we went.
Do you
Who
have
knows?
any concerts you're going to this summer?
I don't have anything on the.
I'm
I don't
going
have
to
anything on the
see
books.
Bonnie Raitt, and I'm going to see Sarah McLachlan.
I've got Eli and I, or maybe Zoe and I don't know which one is going to go with me, but I got Journey and Styx at Van
Nice.
Andel. Tickets were $60.
The
That's
real
not
band
bad.
or is a cover?
Yeah, we did talk about
I
this
wonder how old
earlier,
these
didn't
guys
we?
are. Yeah.
And then we're going July 12th, I think, to Chicago to see Def Leppard. I think that's Def Leppard, Journey, John Waite.
Fun.
And then it was Foreigner and Styx is who's playing in Grand Rapids.
Fun.
Cool.
And then I did get tickets to Dierks Bentley,
That'll be a great show.
and
Yeah.
Eve can't go, so I have one extra ticket.
I mean, if you want to take a shrimpy
Any
little
single
gay girl,
ladies out there that want to.
I can be a good wingman.
I'll just tell you, you have to put Joe on your shoulders because otherwise she can't see.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. So we're about 4 minutes left in the hour.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys, ladies, want to talk about? We do have a Discata party going on this weekend at my house.
Yeah.
Yes, we
I'm
do.
making my world famous Discata.
Oh,
Fortunately, this will be aired 2 weeks afterwards, so we're not going to have 500 people show up.
Yeah. I do want to give you a shout out, Ryan. Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Happy
you had a big
birthday.
what is it called? 365 days past last year at this
Around the
time or something?
sun.
Around the sun. There
Yeah,
you
as
go.
Eli put it.
Yeah, Eli, you'll have to teach me how to say that correctly.
1 year to the big 5-0.
But yep, looking forward to celebrating you this weekend, Ryan.
Yes.
Raising a toast. Yeah, to celebrate you. So happy birthday.
Yeah. Tomorrow's
Awesome.
you. Saturday's you.
This is my birthday weekend. This
Yes,
is the first
it
time
is.
I've ever had a full birthday weekend.
No, we're gonna make it
Don't
happen.
let him fool you. He's a princess.
So,
All right.
just so everyone knows, we will be back in a couple weeks. And I'm Rye Guy Whiskey GR.
I'm Whiskey Thea on Instagram.
And I'm Joe the Experience on Instagram.
We'll talk to you all here in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a great
guys.
time.
Thanks, guys.